In the second and third decades of the 21st century, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a Democratic Socialist member of Congress from New York, has been a leading light among the more vocal members of the political left who seek sweeping legislative change in the name of fighting climate change. In an attempt to make a political connection to the very popular Democrat President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who promoted a domestic social program called the New Deal, Ocasio-Cortez has championed the highly progressive Green New Deal. In an interview on the National Public Radio, NPR, she claimed that, and I quote, "This is really about providing justice for communities. So really, the heart of the Green New Deal is about social justice." The fact that her proposal was labeled as insane by the author of a piece that appeared in Money and Markets magazine tells us a great deal about the political waters that flow around proposed remedies for climate change. Whether or not her proposal is insane is not as important as the underlying goals of the initiative: more government control of the economy with an eye toward opportunity and wealth redistribution. It's not clear in the least as to what impact her proposal would have on climate change, let alone improvements in the social and cultural lives of her preferred communities. The 20th century is full of examples in which command economies failed and their governments collapsed. Before their collapse, socialist and communist despots killed more than 100 million of their own people because they had the audacity to resist the implementation of their policies. It's worth noting that free market capitalism, socialism, and centralized power have been tried on every inhabited continent except for Australia. We have history as our guide. We know what will happen. There are known social and cultural factors tied to economics that affect population growth and the potential consumption of carbon-containing materials, which could impact climate change. But that discussion requires a longer look. Today, on The Vantage Point, we will take a further look into the environmental aspects of the Green New Deal and how the marketplace is way ahead of politicians. I hope you'll join me. Elements of the Green New Deal were certainly part of President Barack Obama's environmental program, and they are part of Vice President Joe Biden's political campaign for the presidency. Despite wide support among Democrats, the Green New Deal was rejected in the U.S. Senate on March 25, 2019. According to a Washington Post piece that appeared earlier in the year, the Green New Deal would provide residents with jobs boasting a guaranteed family-sustaining wage, paid vacations, family and medical leave, as well as retirement. The golden eggs don't stop with employment. Being careful not to use the term citizen, the Green New Deal promises that the people of the United States would be provided with high-quality health care, affordable, safe, and adequate housing, economic security, and access to clean air and water, affordable and healthy food, plus access to nature. The proposed bill went on to promise resources for training and high-quality education for all the people of the United States, not citizens, all the people living here. When the proposed bill got around to mentioning obvious environmental topics, it promised a complete transformation of energy-based industries in the United States. In just 10 years, the Green New Deal would have the people of the United States off of carbon-based fuels. This would be aided by spurring on massive growth in clean manufacturing and by meeting 100% of the power demand in the U.S. with clean, renewable, and energy-saving zero emissions sources. Massive investments would also be made through green energy infrastructure improvements. These changes will be paid for by taxpayers through the highly inefficient infrastructure of layer upon layer of government bureaucracy. The Green New Deal is obviously political fodder for the urban and minority poor. By pointing to stingy Republicans who are keeping them from the good life, Democrats believe that they hit a home run. From a political standpoint, the Republicans seem to be asleep at the wheel. They haven't said very much about climate change, so they've been easy targets for making negative labels stick to them. Their opponents call them climate change deniers. By extension, if one is a climate change denier, he or she must be a science denier. By further extension, if one is a science denier, he must be a knuckle-dragging Neanderthal, and so on. In reality, many of the environmental ideas that are contained in the Green New Deal are already underway in the marketplace. Perhaps that's why Republicans are relatively quiet on the subject and Democrats want to throw themselves in front of the innovations that are already making their way to consumers. There is wisdom in many old sayings. An old English proverb states, "Necessity is the mother of invention." As the cost of fossil fuels has climbed, the profit potential for more energy-efficient energy sources has likewise increased. With the Palo Alto, California-based company Tesla leading the way in moving its headquarters to a more business-friendly climate in Texas, the company and others like Workhorse Group, Ford, Audi, and BMW and Nissan are reaching new heights in efficiency. Not only are their electric vehicles, EVs, efficient, they are among the fastest on the road. Ford's new Mustang GT Mach-E can hit 60 miles per hour in 3.5 seconds. By contrast, a gas-powered Toyota Camry needs 7.3 seconds to reach that speed. In 2019, there were 3.2 million electric cars sold in the international marketplace. It's expected that if the present trend continues, just under 27 million electric vehicles will be sold by the year 2030, in that year. In countries like China and Mexico, where air pollution is a major health problem, there's increasing interest in electric cars, trucks, bicycles, and motorcycles. China's not waiting on foreign companies to meet the demand for EVs. In the last 52 weeks, China's EV manufacturer BTD company has seen its stock price catapult from $4.07 to $17.58 per share. To recharge an EV's battery, though, one needs a reliable source of rapidly dispensed electricity. In 2018, the United States had over 20,000 charging stations and over 57,000 charging outlets. While most of those outlet stations were in California, states like Colorado, which has a high level of environmental awareness and demand for EVs like Tesla cars, are experiencing growth in the charging station industry. EV manufacturers are experiencing what economists call an economic profit. Industries are most likely to expand during periods of time in which economic profits are made. I bet you're asking, Van, what's an economic profit? That situation occurs when a firm's total revenue exceeds total explicit and implicit costs. If demand exceeds the supply and companies are experiencing economic profits, growth in the industry will occur if it is not impeded by an over-regulating government. As more and more companies operate in the expanding EV market to meet consumer demand, prices will come down. In 2020, Audi, Chevrolet, and BMW are enjoying sales of their E-tron, Bolt, and i3 respectively. As I alluded to earlier, Ford Motor Company is working to compete with Tesla's Model Y and Roadster by selling its sporty Mustang in a Mach-E GT platform. One of the major criticisms of EVs, however, has been their lack of range and the time it takes to recharge them. Ford's Mach-E GT is designed to travel 300 miles on a single charge, which is similar to Tesla's Model Y. That kind of range makes EVs capable of much more than just urban commuting. The EV market is not just about automobiles. Tesla is producing a Class 8 semi-truck with a range of 300 to 500 miles, and the legendary American motorcycle company Harley-Davidson is producing an electric motorcycle handily named Livewire. As these innovations show, without the heavy hand of government, the marketplace is already engaged in delivering technology that can address much of the environmental objectives and concerns encapsulated in the Green New Deal. Energy innovations are not just focused on solar and battery power generation technology, however. In places like the American Great Plains, a substantial portion of electric power is generated by wind turbines, and many people live off of the grid. Production of solar power generating systems is also on the increase. Without the heavy hand of government, once again, and in a business climate that favors innovation, creative leaders like Elon Musk and Dwayne Hughes of Workhorse Group are busy helping us to achieve a cleaner, more sustainable future. Well, I hope you got something out of today's show and will like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hey, I'll see you next time here on The Vantage Point.